Money is a shadow. Run toward it and it flees. Stand still with value and it follows. That's the paradox, isn't it? We spend years chasing the very thing that avoids being caught. See, the marketplace doesn't reward effort alone, it rewards value. And value doesn't come from clarity. Money doesn't respond to noise, it responds to order. If your life is in chaos, if your habits are scattered, your emotions are reactive, your days are unstructured, The reason most people stay broke isn't lack of income, it's lack of philosophy. They earn but don't allocate. They wish but don't work a strategy. They want but never study value creation. They hope money will show up while ignoring the laws that attract it. So today, I want to talk to you not about chasing money, but about building wealth. Not with shortcuts, but with disciplines that compound. You don't need a windfall, you need a foundation. And it begins with mindset. If you're ready to stop surviving and start designing, then stay with me. Because the truth is, when you become more, your income follows. Let's build something that lasts. Let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. Your life will never move beyond the picture you hold in your mind. If you've got a blurry picture of your finances, don't be surprised if your bank account stays confused. You see, vague wishes don't build fortunes. Clarity does. And clarity begins with vision. A clear, powerful, purpose-driven financial vision. If you don't know exactly where you're going financially in 5 years, then chances are you'll end up somewhere you don't want to be. I remember sitting with a young man once. He said, "I just want to be rich." I said, "How rich?" He blinked. Very?" I smiled. That's like saying you want to go somewhere warm and packing your bags without knowing if you're headed to Miami or Morocco. You've got to be specific. How much do you want to earn each year? How much do you want to be worth? How much passive income do you want to generate monthly? Be precise, because the mind responds to clarity, not confusion. When I first set my own 5-year financial vision, it scared me a little. I wrote it down, how much I wanted to earn, what my net worth would be, what investments I'd have in place. I had no idea how I was going to do it, but the vision gave me direction. That's what most people lack. Direction. They're working hard, running fast, but they're on a treadmill. Moving, but not going anywhere, because they never stop to ask, where exactly am I going? So the first step is to sit down, block out the noise, and write it out. What's your financial life going to look like 5 years from now if you actually take it seriously? What will your income be? What will your net worth be? What passive streams of income will you have coming in without your labor? What kind of lifestyle do you want? Not just in comfort, but in peace of mind and freedom. Now, don't just write it down once and toss it in a drawer. I'm talking about a vision you revisit daily. That's how you start to build internal alignment. If you keep looking at your 5-year vision, your mind starts to work toward it even when you're not consciously thinking about it. You start to spot opportunities, you begin to adjust your habits, and you start saying no to the things that pull you away from it. Why? Because now you've got a reason. That's the second part, your why. Don't just chase the number. Tie your goals to purpose. Maybe it's to retire your parents. Maybe it's to send your kids to the best schools. Maybe it's to travel the world or fund a charity. When the numbers connect to something meaningful, the work becomes easier. The sacrifices make sense. And remember, this isn't about being perfect. Your vision might evolve, you might adjust it, and that's okay. But the power is in starting. Don't wait until you feel ready. You get ready by starting. So pull out a journal, open your calendar, and give yourself 1 hour. Write your 5-year financial vision with clarity, with purpose, and with courage. That's the foundation of building real wealth. Clarity creates direction, and direction creates destiny. One of the greatest tools I ever picked up on the journey to wealth wasn't a new job, a fancy calculator, or even a better opportunity. It was a simple notebook, yes, a blank page, and a pen. Because here's the truth. Wealth doesn't just grow in bank account. It grows in awareness. And awareness multiplies when you document your thoughts, lessons, mistakes, and insights. The act of writing sharpens your thinking, and sharpened thinking sharpens your results. Now, I know it might sound simple, but simplicity is powerful when practiced daily. When I first started keeping a financial journal, it wasn't to track how much money I made. It was to track how much I was learning. I'd write down what I noticed about my habit show I spent without thinking, how I delayed important decisions, or how I felt anxious when talking about money. That awareness alone helped me shift my patterns. Because you can't change what you won't acknowledge, and you won't remember what you never write down. I'd also write down quotes that struck me, lines I heard from a mentor, a speaker, or even in a book that cut through the noise and spoke to something deep in me. I'd record failures, not to beat myself up, but to extract the lessons so I wouldn't repeat them. Missed an investment opportunity because of fear? Write it down. Spent more than I earned? Write that too. The more I wrote, the more I saw patterns. And the more I saw patterns, the more I could interrupt them. That's where the real power of a wealth journal lives. Not just in numbers, but in clarity. When you write things down, you begin to see with your own eyes what's been hidden in the fog of your daily routine. You begin to catch your own blind spots. You start to remember lessons that would otherwise get lost in the shuffle of life. It becomes a mirror, reflecting your current mindset and revealing the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Now, don't worry about making it pretty. This isn't about grammar. It's not about style. This is about truth. It's a private conversation between you and your future. Just ask yourself each day or each week, what did I learn about money today? What mistake did I make, and what will I do differently next time? What inspired me? What discouraged me? What's one insight I need to carry into next week? I used to say, if your goal is to double your income, start by doubling your insight. And insight grows when it's captured. Think of your wealth journal as a seed bed. Every note, every line, every honest reflection is a seed. Some of those seeds will grow into habits, some into clarity, some into breakthroughs, but only if you plant them. Eventually, you'll look back at those notes and realize you've built your own library of wisdom. Not someone else's experience, but your own. And that, my friend, is how wealth begins, not just with money, but with mindset. Because when your mind gets rich with clarity, your life follows. The pen you hold might be small, but it has the power to write your financial future. One of the greatest investments I ever made didn't come from the stock market or a real estate deal or a business venture. It came from a little paperback book I picked up for just a few dollars. That single book shifted my thinking about money. And from that day on, I began a habit that changed my life. I committed to reading one wealth-building book every single month, just one. And the compounding effect of that single discipline, remarkable. Now, here's the truth. If you want to build a new level of wealth, you've got to build a new mind. Because the person you are today is perfectly designed to get the results you're getting. If you want different results, you need different thoughts. And those different thoughts come from new ideas you don't already know. That's where reading becomes powerful. It introduces you to thinking that breaks your old patterns and challenges the beliefs that have kept you broke, stuck, or small. Think about 12 books a year. That's not overwhelming. One a month. You can do that in 15 to 20 minutes a day. And over the course of a decade, that's 120 books. You'd be amazed how that kind of exposure can rewire your entire relationship with money, discipline, investing, productivity, value creation, and mindset. You might say, but I already know a lot. And I'd say that's good, but it's not what you know that'll hurt you. It's what you don't know. Or worse, what you think you know that just isn't so. Wealth building requires continual upgrading. And books are portable mentors. They let you borrow decades of experience for just a few hours of attention. When I started this habit, I was broke. But I wasn't poor because I decided that I would never be poor again. I made the decision that wealth would become my new standard. But I knew if I wanted a new standard of living, I had to raise my standard of thinking. That's why I fed my mind daily. I read biographies of successful people. I read books on money principles, investing basics, leadership, and communication. I read about mindset, psychology, and the habits of the wealthy. And little by little, those pages became stepping stones. I'd read something and apply it. Sometimes it was a small shift over. Times it turned my whole week around. Don't read to feel good, read to change. You don't need motivation, you need transformation. And that comes from exposure to new perspectives. You'll find truths that disturb you, truths that inspire you, truths that convict you. And that's exactly the point, because nothing changes until you get uncomfortable with where you are. And let me give you a little secret. Don't just read for knowledge, read for application. Every time you finish a chapter, ask, what can I do with this? Don't wait to become an expert. Start using what you learn immediately. That's how the habit of reading turns into a habit of growth, and the habit of growth turns into wealth. So go to the bookstore, build your library, commit to the process. Don't miss a month. And if you do, don't quit catch up. Stack your mind with better thinking, and your income will follow suit. A wealthy life is built on a wealthy mind, and a wealthy mind is built one book at a time. I learned early that it's not what you make that makes the difference, it's what you keep. It's not how high your income goes, it's how disciplined your lifestyle stays. I've seen people triple their income and still stay broke. Why? Because every time their paycheck grew, their lifestyle grew faster. New car, new gadgets, fancier vacations. They didn't increase their wealth, they increased their obligations. They bought comfort but sacrificed freedom. They didn't build assets, they built appearances. And appearances are expensive. The wealthy think differently. They set a cap, a discipline, a boundary. They live by the principle. Live on 70% of what you earn. That simple strategy creates a margin and intentional gap between what you make and what you spend. And it's in that margin that wealth is born. That 30% becomes your future. 10% for investing, 10% for saving, and 10% for personal development. That's how you turn income into independence. Now, when I first heard this idea, I'll admit it felt tight. I was used to spending everything I made, and I could justify it too. I'd tell myself, I work hard, I deserve this, or it's just one purchase. But those little compromises add up. Over time, I realized I was spending today what I needed to build tomorrow. That was the turning point. I made a commitment. Pay the future first. I adjusted my lifestyle, not my dreams. I remember sitting down with a mentor and he said, if you can't live well on 70%, you won't live better on 100%. That hit me. It wasn't about deprivation, it was about stewardship. It was about respecting the gift of income enough to manage it with wisdom. I started packing my lunch instead of eating out every day. I delayed some purchases that weren't urgent. I started tracking my spending weekly, not to feel guilty, but to stay aware. And slowly, my savings grew, my investments grew, my confidence grew. Because when you live below your means, you take control. And when you take control, you create options. This isn't just a math formula, it's a mindset shift. Poor thinking says, spend first, save what's left. Wealth thinking says, save and invest first, then spend what's left. It's a reversal of priorities, and that reversal changes everything. You no longer become a servant to your income. You become the master of it. And here's the beauty. Once you learn to live on 70%, you become immune to lifestyle pressure. You stop chasing things to impress people who aren't even paying attention. You start valuing peace over possession, freedom over fashion. And that internal shift is what creates external wealth. If you can do this when you're earning a little, you'll be ready when you're earning a lot. That's what most people miss. They wait until they have more money to get disciplined. But that's like waiting until you're stronger to go to the gym. It doesn't work like that. Discipline first, then wealth follows. So ask yourself, can I design a lifestyle I enjoy within 70% of my income? Can I make room for the future, not just the moment? The answer is yes, but it begins with a decision. Decide today that your lifestyle will serve your goals, not sabotage them. And when you do, you'll step into the kind of financial control that most only dream about. Wealth isn't just built with money, it's built with margins. I've always believed that the road to wealth is also the road of responsibility. And one of the biggest weights that drags people down on that road is consumer debt. It's a silent thief. It doesn't scream at you. It just quietly chips away at your future. Every month, like clockwork, it drains potential that could have been invested, grown, or used to buy freedom. Instead, it buys stress. Now, let me be clear, not all debt is equal. There's debt that can build wealth, like real estate with strong cash flow. But consumer debt, that's debt for things that lose value the moment you swipe the cardus, the kind that enslaves you. It's a reverse wealth engine. Instead of your money working for you, it works against you. And it keeps working month after month, year after year, compounding in the wrong direction. It's like planting a tree, but instead of bearing fruit, it bears bills. I've seen people work hard, honest people, talented people, but they're caught in this cycle. They're not poor because they lack income. They're poor because their money is already spoken for. The interest they pay on consumer loans, credit cards, and financing plans eats up what could have been invested in their future. And it's not just the dollars, it's the distraction. It's hard to think long-term when short-term bills are pounding on your door. So what's the plan? Eliminate it quickly, not gradually, not someday, aggressively. I teach people to build a snowball plan. List every debt, smallest to largest. Make minimum payments on all but the smallest. Attack that one with everything you've got. Sell some things, work a side hustle, cut unnecessary spending, whatever it takes. When it's gone, roll that payment into the next debt, and so on. It's not just about math, it's about momentum. Every time you knock out a balance, you gain confidence. And that emotional victory is what builds discipline. It tells your brain, I can do this, and you can. Now, I remember coaching someone who made a good income, nearly 6 figures. But they were drowning in debt, nice car, luxury apartment, latest gadgets, but no peace, no savings. And every month, more stress. We built their debt snowball, and in 18 months, they were debt-free. Not just because they earned well, but because they finally got clear, got serious, and got committed. That freedom changed their energy. And when your energy shifts, your opportunities follow. Getting out of consumer debt is a character-building process. It makes you question every purchase. It makes you reconsider what truly adds value. And it humbles you. But from that humility comes strength. You learn patience. You learn delayed gratification. And those are the same muscles you'll need to build wealth. This isn't about deprivation. It's about liberation. Every debt you eliminate is one less chain, one less thing controlling your decisions. And when you're no longer paying interest to everyone else, you can finally start paying yourself. So decide today debt will not be your master. Build your plan. Take the first step. Don't wait until it feels easy. It never will. But freedom doesn't wait for easy, it waits for courage. And when you choose freedom, everything begins to change. When you're building wealth, one of the smartest early steps you can take is to build a cushion, not just financially, but psychologically. That cushion is your emergency fund. Now, I'm not talking about building a massive vault of cash before you take your first step toward wealth. I'm talking about something simple but powerful. A $1,000 emergency fund. It's the kind of fund that doesn't promise to solve every crisis in life, but it gives you a buffer between you and panic. You see, life is unpredictable. The car breaks down, the child gets sick, the roof leaks. That's not misfortune, that's life. And the moment you don't prepare for the ordinary inconveniences, they become extraordinary burdens. That's what throws most people off course. It's not the big dream that's the problem, it's the small detour. And what happens is this: without a buffer, people dip into their savings, their investments, or even worse, go into debt to handle the unexpected. And every time that happens, momentum is broken. The wealth-building train gets derailed. I remember a young man I was mentoring. He was just getting started, fired up, investing aggressively, learning fast. But he didn't build that first cushion. 1 month in, he had a medical bill pop up. Not a big one, but enough to throw off his plan. He pulled from his investment account, lost his rhythm, and worse, lost his belief. That's why the emergency fund comes first. Not because it's glamorous, but because it protects your future decisions. And this isn't about fear, this is about strategy. Just like you wouldn't drive a car without a spare tire, you shouldn't pursue wealth without a spare fund. Because peace of mind isn't found in big numbers, it's found in wise preparation. That $1,000 becomes your first wall of defense. It keeps your wealth accounts untouched and sacred. It tells your subconscious, we're prepared, we're stable, we're in control. When I first built my emergency fund, it gave me a level of confidence I didn't expect. Not because I felt rich, far from it, but because I had control. That's what most people are missing. Not more money, but more control. And from that control comes clarity. From that clarity comes better decisions. And better decisions build wealth. Some say, but what if an emergency is bigger than $1,000? That's a valid question. And yes, eventually, you'll want to grow that fund. But don't let perfection stop your first step. Wealth isn't built by waiting for the perfect plan, it's built by executing the next right step. And this is that step. If you don't have $1,000 set aside today, make it your mission this month. Sell a few unused items. Cut a few expenses. Pick up a weekend job. Whatever it takes. Carve out that cushion. Not someday. This month. Make it sacred. Make it untouchable unless it's a real emergency. And when that emergency comes, you won't flinch. You'll be ready, and readiness is wealth. So remember, before you invest in stocks, before you chase that business dream, invest in your calm. Start with your $1,000 emergency fund. Let it be your foundation of strength and stability. Because from stability comes speed, from calm comes power, and from wisdom comes wealth. When people ask me how to build wealth, they often expect a dramatic answer, some overnight success secret, a once-in-a-lifetime investment, or a perfect opportunity handed to you at just the right moment. But wealth doesn't happen in the big events. Wealth is built quietly, day by day, through discipline. And not just any discipline, but the right daily rituals that shape your thinking, influence your behavior, and direct your money with purpose. Let me tell you something I learned early. Success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, while failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated daily. And what that means is this: your future isn't shaped by what you do once in a while. It's shaped by what you do consistently. So let's talk about the financial rituals that create wealth. And I don't mean complicated systems. I mean small daily actions that act like bricks in a wall. Done once, they seem minor. Done every day, they build a fortress. Start in the morning. Before the noise of the world creeps in, before the day's distractions, grab your attention pause. Review your financial goals. Remind yourself why you're doing this. Whether it's to get out of debt, build a business, hit a savings milestone, or reach financial independence, anchor your day in that vision. It's too easy to forget where you're going if you never stop to look at the map. I used to keep my top 3 goals written on a note card and review them every morning with my coffee. It kept me grounded, focused, and clear. Now let's move into the midday. Set aside focused income time. This is where you put all distractions away and work directly on activities that produce income or increase your value in the marketplace. Maybe it's prospecting, building a client base, developing a product, or studying a high-income skill. For me, this time became sacred. It wasn't used for meetings, for scrolling, or for busy work. It was reserved for deep, intentional progress. Even 90 focused minutes daily, when done consistently, will compound into tremendous returns. You don't need 10 hours a day, just one block of time that is owned, protected, and repeated. Then the evening comes, and here's where reflection matters. Before your head hits the pillow, log your money activity. What came in today? What went out? Where did your energy go financially? It might feel tedious at first, but over time, it gives you awareness, and awareness breeds control. I've met people who made six figures, but didn't know where their money went. That's not wealth. That's chaos with a salary. When I started tracking every dollar, even just in a little notebook, I saw patterns. And when you see patterns, you can change them. This evening ritual doesn't have to take more than 10 minutes, but it creates financial consciousness. And that consciousness builds discipline. And that discipline becomes wealth. Because money flows to those who know how to manage it, that begins with attention. So what we're really talking about is rhythm, morning clarity, midday productivity, evening accountability. And it's not just about money, it's about who you become by living that way. Someone focused, intentional, aware. Someone who doesn't just wish for wealth, but practices it daily. Build these rituals into your life. Make them small. Make them simple, but make them sacred. Because if you can master your day, you can master your life. And if you can master your habits, wealth will follow. Let me tell you something I learned the hard way. If your mind doesn't grow faster than your expenses, you'll always be playing catch up. And the reason most people stay broke, even when their income increases, is because their financial education never increases with it. See, money doesn't stick to ignorance. It slips right through. But money is magnetized to wisdom. If you want your income to rise, your understanding has to rise even faster. Now, I didn't always know this. There was a time I worked hard, real hard, and I thought effort alone would get me there. But I realized effort without direction just makes you tired. I was running fast, but not going far. It wasn't until I carved out a simple discipline, 30 minutes a day for financial education, that everything began to change. Not overnight, but over time. Because knowledge compounds just like money does. If you learn a little every day, pretty soon you're not just smarter, you're sharper, faster, and more equipped to take better actions. So what do I mean by financial education? I'm not talking about complicated theories or advanced degrees. I'm talking about practical, applicable knowledge. Learn how money works. Study basic investing, understand index funds, real estate, and the power of compound interest. Learn about markets, how wealth is created and multiplied. Read biographies of people who built fortunes not to admire them, but to model what works. Listen to those who've walked the path not the loudest voices, but the wisest. I remember reading one book on investing that completely changed how I looked at risk. It didn't promise riches, it taught me how to avoid foolishness. And that's just as valuable. 30 minutes a day. That's all it takes. Set a timer if you have to. Make it a ritual. Every day, rain or shine. And guard that time. No distractions, no excuses. That's your gym for the mind. Just like you'd go to the gym to build muscle, you show up for your financial training to build mental capital. Because that's the capital that fuels all the others. And here's the beauty of it, what you learn, no one can take from you. Jobs may change, markets may shift, but knowledge stays. And knowledge lets you pivot, adjust, and win. I've seen people turn their entire financial destiny around, not because they won the lottery, but because they developed the habit of learning. And when the opportunity showed up, they recognized it. Most people don't miss success because it doesn't knock. They miss it because they weren't educated enough to answer the door. I've said for years, work harder on yourself than you do on your job. That's not just a nice phrase, it's a strategy. If you become more valuable, your income will eventually reflect it. And one of the best ways to grow that value is to become financially wise. Not just informed, but wise. Wisdom knows what to ignore and what to pursue. Wisdom helps you build, not chase. And that's what Wealth Structure built on understanding. So if you're serious about changing your financial life, make the commitment, 30 minutes a day. Make it a rule, not a suggestion. Grow your mind faster than your bills. And soon enough, you'll find that your wealth is just following the expansion of your thinking, because wealth always flows to the prepared mind. Let me tell you what I discovered early in my journey. If you want to change your income, you must first change your value. Income is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. And nothing increases your attractiveness in the marketplace faster than mastering a high-income skill. Just one. You don't need 10 on is enough to tip the scale in your favor. The key is to choose wisely and commit deeply. Now, when I say high-income skill, I'm talking about a skill that the marketplace values so highly, they're willing to pay a premium for it. Think about sales, marketing, public speaking, leadership, investing, copywriting, or branding. These aren't just buzzwords. They are multipliers. Learn one of these, and it can change the entire trajectory of your financial life. You move from being replaceable to essential, from surviving to scaling. For me, it started with learning how to communicate better. I used to be shy. I'd avoid speaking in front of even a small crowd. But I realized that if I couldn't clearly express ideas, I couldn't sell, and if I couldn't sell, I couldn't grow. So I worked at it. I read books, I listened to great speakers, I practiced, and slowly I got better. That one skill, communication, didn't just raise my confidence, it raised my income because it raised my value. Now I meet people all the time who say, I want to earn more. And I ask them, what are you learning? Often, the answer is silence. So I remind them, your income seldom exceeds your level of skill. You want to earn 6 figures? Start thinking in 6-figure skills. Don't just get busy, get valuable. That's how the wealthy think. They don't chase dollars. They develop themselves until the dollars start chasing them. Pick one skill, just one, and master it. Don't dabble. Don't jump from one shiny thing to another. Mastery pays the big checks. It gives you confidence. It gives you leverage. And it gives you choices. A master of one thing is far more powerful than a novice at many. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs clarity. And clarity comes from focus. Let's say you choose sales. Master how to communicate value, handle objections, close deals. That alone can create financial freedom. Or maybe you choose investing. Understand how capital grows, how markets work, how risk is managed. That knowledge can turn small amounts into large returns. Or leadership, learn how to inspire, organize, and lead others. Leaders write the checks, they don't wait for them. Choose what suits your strengths and interests, but choose something the market values. That's the trick. And give it time. Mastery doesn't happen in a weekend course. It takes hours, mistakes, repetition. But that time isn't wasted. It's invested. And the return on that investment when you commit to it is exponential. The skill pays for itself and then some. So here's the question you must ask. What one high-income skill can I master in the next 12 months that would double or triple my value in the marketplace? Find your answer, then make it your mission. Because when you commit to mastery, your income will eventually reflect it. Not because the world is generous, but because the market pays those who solve problems at a higher level. Master one skill and you'll never worry about money again. When it comes to building lasting wealth, relying on a single paycheck is like trying to cross a river on one stepping stone that's unstable, risky, and leaves you vulnerable. I've seen too many people caught off guard when that steady income stops. The truth is, financial security grows when you have multiple streams of income working for you. It's not just about working harder, it's about working smarter, creating new channels that bring money in even when you're not clocking extra hours. Now you might be thinking, but where do I start? I'm already busy enough. That's exactly where most people get stuck. They say they want more income, but hesitate to take the first step because it feels overwhelming or unfamiliar. The secret is simple. Don't wait for the perfect time or perfect plan. Start small. Start now. Commit to creating one side income stream within the next 90 days. For example, I remember when I first realized the power of multiple incomes. I was working full-time, but I began freelancing on the side, offering services I was good at. At first, it was just a few extra dollars, but that seed grew into a reliable source that eventually supported my family through lean times. It wasn't luck. It was intentional action. I didn't try to do everything at once. I focused on one opportunity and gave it my best. There are countless ways to create side income today: freelance work, online consulting, digital products, rental properties, or even an online store selling something you're passionate about. The key is to pick something that aligns with your skills and interests, so it doesn't feel like a burden, but an extension of what you already enjoy or know. Once you pick your side hustle, treat it like a business from day one. Set goals, make a plan, and schedule dedicated time to work on it consistently. Too many people start and stop because they treat their side income like a hobby. This won't build wealth. It needs your commitment and discipline. Remember, wealth isn't built on chance. It's built on consistent, purposeful effort. Also, keep your focus narrow at the start. Trying to juggle multiple side projects leads to burnout. Choose one, nurture it, and let it grow. When it's stable, then consider adding another. Over time, these income streams build on each other, creating a financial ecosystem that's resilient and growing. Here's another important point. Side income isn't just about the money. It's about learning new skills, expanding your network, and developing entrepreneurial habits. These benefits compound and prepare you for bigger opportunities down the road. I've witnessed how a small side hustle turned into a full business for many people because they invested themselves fully and never gave up. So if you're serious about changing your financial story, set a goal today, launch your first side income within 90 days, write down your idea, plan your first steps, and commit to the schedule. Track your progress and celebrate small wins. Momentum builds momentum. Because remember, relying on one source of income is a gamble. Diversify, grow, and watch how your financial security strengthens with every new stream you add. Wealth flows where opportunity and action meet, and that action begins with your first side income. When it comes to truly understanding your financial health, focusing solely on your income is like watching the waves without knowing the depth of the ocean beneath. Income is a flow, it comes and goes, sometimes steady, sometimes not. But net worth, that is the reservoir, the true measure of your financial strength. It shows what you actually own after you subtract what you owe. And if you want to build lasting wealth, keeping a close eye on your net worth is non-negotiable. Many people get caught up celebrating paychecks or bonuses, and while that's natural, it's only part of the story. I've met folks who earn a good salary, but have little to show for it because their spending habits and debts eat away what they make. On the flip side, I know others who live modestly, invest wisely, and watch their net worth climb steadily year after year. That's the real game changer. Tracking net worth monthly allows you to see progress or setbacks clearly. It keeps you honest. You begin to realize that increasing income is great, but if you spend every extra dollar or take on more debt, you aren't really growing wealth, you're just juggling numbers. Your net worth scoreboard shows the truth. It reveals if your financial plan is working or if you need to adjust course. From my experience, I always recommend creating a simple but consistent process. List your assets: cash, savings, investments, property, and anything else of value. Then list your liabilities: debts, loans, credit card balances. The difference is your net worth. Make this a monthly ritual. Set a day each month to review, update, and reflect. This act alone trains your mind to focus on wealth accumulation, not just income. I've seen many people transform their financial mindset once they started tracking net worth regularly. Instead of chasing bigger paychecks blindly, they focus on building assets and reducing liabilities. It's a shift from short-term gratification to long-term wealth creation. This perspective leads to smarter decisions, cutting unnecessary expenses, paying down high-interest debt, investing more consistently. Tracking net worth also helps you set realistic goals. Want to retire early? Own a home outright? Build a business? Knowing where you stand monthly allows you to create clear, measurable milestones. And as you see your net worth grow, your confidence grows too. Motivation isn't just about money coming in, it's about seeing your financial reservoir deepen. Remember, wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep, grow, and control. Your income may fluctuate, but your net worth can rise steadily if you commit to tracking it and managing your money wisely. If you want to master your money, start with this. Track your net worth monthly. Let it be your scoreboard. Let it guide your decisions. Because it's not the paycheck alone that makes you wealthy, it's the reservoir you build over time that secures your financial future. When it comes to true wealth, it's easy to get caught up in the here and now, paychecks, bills, short-term goals. But lasting wealth goes far beyond today. It's about building something that outlives you, something that benefits your family, your community, and the generations that follow. That's why creating a legacy fund is not just a financial strategy, it's a mindset shift from self to service, from instant gratification to eternal impact. In my own journey, I learned that wealth is most powerful when it's connected to a purpose larger than yourself. I remember hearing stories of people who worked hard all their lives, only to leave little behind for their children because they never thought about wealth as a generational gift. Their focus was on consumption, not contribution. And that's a mistake that keeps too many trapped in a cycle of financial struggle. A legacy fund is your commitment to break that cycle. It's a dedicated portion of your income and investments set aside not for immediate wants, but for long-term family security or charitable causes you believe in deeply. Think of it as planting a tree under whose shade you may never sit, but future generations will benefit from. Starting this fund doesn't require vast wealth right away. It begins with intention and discipline. You decide on a percentage of your income, maybe 5% or 10%, that you consistently direct toward investments or accounts earmarked for legacy. It could be real estate to provide housing for family, a trust fund for education, or contributions to a cause that aligns with your values. When you commit to this, you begin to think differently about money. You stop seeing it as just a tool for personal comfort and start viewing it as a vehicle for impact. This perspective helps you stay disciplined in spending, saving, and investing because you're no longer just building wealth for yourself, you're building wealth with purpose. I've seen families transformed by this approach. Children raised with an understanding that wealth is meant to serve and support others grow up with a mindset of responsibility and abundance. They don't take money for granted, they honor it, protect it, and grow it. Creating a legacy fund also cultivates gratitude and vision. It reminds you daily that your financial decisions have ripple effects beyond your lifetime. It connects you to something greater, giving your work and sacrifice deeper meaning. So, if you want to build lasting wealth, start thinking beyond yourself. Allocate part of your resources to a legacy fund. Let it be your commitment to the future, your way of saying, I am here to build, to give, and to leave a mark that endures. Because wealth that stops with you is fleeting, but wealth that flows through you to others is eternal. Wealth is not a set-it-and-forget-it journey, it's a dynamic process, much like tending a garden. If you plant seeds and never check on them, weeds grow, soil dries, and the plants wither. The same goes for your financial life. To truly build and sustain wealth, you have to revisit and adjust your plan regularly. From my own experience, I learned early that creating a financial plan was only the beginning. Life shifts, markets change, opportunities come and go, and your goals evolve. Without regular check-ins, you risk losing direction or holding on to strategies that no longer serve you. Every 90 days, I recommend setting aside time to review your entire financial picture. Your income, expenses, savings, investments, and progress toward your goals. Look at what's working. Well, celebrate those wins. Then, Identify where things are off track. Maybe you're spending too much in one category, or an investment isn't performing as expected. This isn't about judgment, but about clarity and course correction. This quarterly review becomes a powerful tool for staying accountable. It forces you to face reality instead of avoiding the numbers or making excuses. When you see your progress in black and white, you can make smarter decisions moving forward. Think of it as a personal board meeting with yourself. You're the CEO of your financial future, and these reviews keep your company healthy and growing. During these check-ins, ask yourself important questions. Are my income streams growing as planned? Am I saving and investing enough? Are my expenses aligned with my priorities? Is my risk tolerance changing? Should I explore new opportunities or scale back others? The answers will guide your adjustments. Maybe you decide to increase your investment contributions, cut unnecessary expenses, or learn a new skill to boost your income. The key is to remain flexible and proactive, not rigid and reactive. In my own life, these regular assessments kept me grounded and motivated. I remember one quarter when my income dipped unexpectedly. Instead of panic, I reviewed my plan, tightened my budget, and focused on building a new income stream. That period of intentional review turned a setback into a stepping stone. Wealth is an active game, and staying engaged with your financial plan prevents complacency. It transforms vague hopes into concrete progress and keeps your vision sharp. So, don't let your financial plan gather dust on a shelf. Revisit it every 90 days, adjust what's not working, celebrate what is, and recommit with renewed focus. That rhythm of reflection and action is what separates those who dream of wealth from those who achieve lasting success. Your financial future is shaped by the choices you make today and how well you adapt tomorrow. As we bring this conversation to a close, remember this: wealth is not merely a number in your bank account. It's a reflection of your mindset, your habits, and the vision you carry for your life. Too often, people chase money without understanding that true wealth begins in the mind. It starts with clarity, discipline, and purpose. You cannot build a house without a blueprint, and likewise, you cannot build lasting wealth without a clear financial vision and intentional action. The journey to financial freedom is a process of continual growth learning to think differently, act differently, and live differently. It's about shifting from short-term survival to long-term prosperity, from reactive spending to strategic investing, from chasing income to building value. This transformation isn't easy. It requires patience, consistency, and sometimes sacrifice, but it is always worth it. You've heard the principles today. Set your financial goals with clarity. Automate your savings. Invest early and often. Create multiple income streams, and never stop developing yourself. These are not just tips. They are time-tested truths. The wealthy didn't stumble into their success. They built it brick by brick, habit by habit. The power lies in the small daily disciplines. It's in choosing to track every dollar, in saying no to impulse buys, in investing 30 minutes a day to learn a new skill, and in creating systems that make your progress automatic. Wealth is the result of these compounded efforts over time. Now, the real question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you let it pass by as another nice idea, or will you commit to changing your financial destiny? The path is clear, and the tools are in your hands. But none of this works without action. Start today by taking one step right down your 5-year financial vision. Begin tracking your spending this week. Set up an automatic transfer to your savings. Find a mentor, read a book, or learn a new skill. Whatever it is, start now. Remember, your income is not a mystery. It is a reflection of your mindset. Change your thinking, and your income will follow. The millionaire secret to lasting wealth isn't in luck or inheritance. It's in your willingness to shift your mindset and act with purpose.